Hello, and we are back with another episode of Eat This, Drink That. We have a continuation of a previous episode, so with Steve, myself, and Ali, let's get right into it. Again, Ali, what's your Eat This for today?
Well, if you're a linear type person, maybe you saw our chicken tikka episode, made some chicken tikka, but why make chicken tikka when you can make chicken tikka masala with tomato soup? Welcome to the chicken tikka masala hack, guys. Here's my tomato soup. We're gonna make the sauce. We're gonna get it going. I'm just gonna get into the cooking part. Moving my little saucepan here to a burner. You know what? That thing's a little strong. We're gonna go here. I'm just gonna drop a generous tablespoon of butter into my pan. I'm gonna let that melt, foam up a little bit, and then we're gonna get to work with some aromatics. I've got some ginger and garlic.
Hey, Ali, I didn't ask you this last episode. The ginger and garlic, is that freshly cut?
Yep, this is some minced clove of garlic. And, since you brought it up, we go through garlic like gangbusters. So not a problem. Always have garlic. I'm like, if the head is low, we get more. Ginger, not so much. Yeah. And ginger's cheap, so who cares? But I never need it that much. So what I do is I keep a big old knob in the freezer. Like, ready?
Okay.
That's frozen solid. What I will do is I'll take a peeler, I'll peel it, and I will literally just kind of like I'm shaving ice.
Okay.
I'll take a good heavy knife, and I'll just kind of tap at it and get scrapings off and mince it. That is my... I thought about showing this, and then you brought it up, so there you go. This way, I always have, quote, fresh ginger. Some people will tell you, get some ginger, peel it, mince it up, put it in ice cubes. That's a lot of effort. I'd rather just take the sucker, chuck it in the freezer, and I taste it. I think the flavor's pretty strong.
I see. So the ginger is frozen. I thought that was garlic for a second. The ginger's frozen.
Yeah. Okay. Garlic is garlic. It doesn't.
You go through so much, it's fresh. Gotcha.
Exactly. All right. So my butter is foaming up, which is nice. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add, and this is just shy of a tablespoon of ginger and garlic. Ginger and garlic, along with onions, happens a lot in Indian cuisine, or nouveau Indian cuisine, which is what this is. For some folks who are curious or want to know, chicken tikka masala, not exactly an invention from the mother country. That's just, by the way, butter and ginger.
Yeah.
It smells awesome.
Is that ginger garlic? Is that 1-to-1 or what's the?
Pretty much. Yeah. Okay. You could err on the side of a little less ginger. The way I approach it was this: a lot of Indian recipes and Indian stores, you buy a paste of both. Okay. It's already like, so, if you go through a lot, if you're making a lot of curries and stuff, people will just buy a straight up paste. Mine was 1-to-1. I do want a fairly heavy-handed ginger, which isn't always the case with my curries, but it is because I'm trying to transform tomato soup into something Indian.
So I want the Trader Joe's brand, yes?
That's what's so funny. My wife really bought this for me because she knows that I've been trying to cut out carbs, have some more healthy stuff. And my epiphany for this came because she made a cream of tomato soup recently over the holidays. It was delicious. And when I was tasting it, I literally was like, this isn't soup. This is like penne vodka sauce. Like, I literally tasted it going, can we get some kale and sausage? This is sauce. So, the tomato soup, I think, was perfect. So legend has it, Glasgow, Scotland, an Indian cook made a curry to please a British, UK, Scotsman, somebody guest, and basically cut the curry with some tomato and cream and butter. And that's how chicken tikka masala was born, which was really adding flavors that aren't really used a lot with curries, and basically softening the impact. This is a gateway curry, right? It's the one that you can take, Rebecca from accounting, and she's like, I just can't get enough of it. It's so good. Oh, and we
masala is just butter, tomatoes, any yogurt?
Chicken tikka masala can have it. I'm a big fan of butter chicken,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
more butter and cream. Now,
Okay.
with all this stuff, kind of like what I said about chicken tikka, you need some sort of dairy to get in there and do the job. In chicken tikka, I use yogurt. Some people use heavy cream. Some people
Okay.
use buttermilk. For me, I wanted to make a chicken tikka masala that was like, I just have this stuff on hand. So I'm literally using, this is a soup, which is already kind of rich and creamy as is. And I haven't even looked at these ingredients. So this already has milk in it. So,
Okay.
boom. So there's already some dairy in here,
So
right?
it's just dairy and tomatoes. As a
Uh,
masala with
yeah,
spices.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, basically.
Okay.
And how else are we transforming this?
What we got?
The blend. Okay. Now, Indian food is complex because there's a lot of different spices in it, right? But
Yep.
the actual preparation isn't that complex. This is a bunch of spices that I'm going to add into the pot right now.
Is this from
And
Spice Walla as well?
this is a mix. This is
Okay.
the con mix.
I
I've
see.
got some turmeric that's been burning a hole in my pantry.
Uh-huh.
We've got some ancho chili powder that we
Okay.
use in that carne asada because I just
Yep.
needed a dark chili powder.
Yep.
There's some cumin in here, and there's a little cayenne. Actually, oddly enough, none of these. I'm just gonna get this in here. None of these are from Spice Walla, but
Okay.
there's an interesting story with it all. I need a spoon to stir this up. The story, and I'm just kind of, I just want to show you what this looks like. So, the spices are in there, and all I'm really doing is, obviously the pan's warm, the butter is melted. See that color? Just make it
Yeah.
almost like a paste, okay?
Nice.
It's like a
And
spice roux instead of flour. It's spices.
exactly, and basically this is the base, and then, you could add water in here, you could add coconut milk, and you could basically create a sauce from here, right? So that's all we're doing.
Okay.
We're making sauce. We're making sauce. Curry, like salsa, we think of it as a braise or a stew. Curry's a sauce. Curry is a sauce.
Okay.
All right, so spices are in there. You might notice I'm not adding any salt. Why? Because it's in here.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do this because I had tomato soup lying around over the holidays, and I was like, dang, this stuff tastes like I could make sauce out of it. And then I thought, what a great excuse for people to make something and take away a step. Normally, when I make this, I'm just gonna pour this in here. Normally, when I make this, I'll get a can of crushed tomatoes, or even a can of whole peeled tomatoes. I'll get those San Marzanos or whatever,
Okay.
and I'll throw it in here with the spices, hit it with the immersion blender, and just want to show you guys. So this is what happens. See those dark, kind of, they look like striations right now, and that
Yeah.
roux you talked about, Steve.
Yeah.
I'm just stirring it up,
Okay.
like straight up. Right now, we have turned this tomato soup into a curry.
Okay.
That's killer.
I mean, and to be honest, it's kind of on the light side too. I've been doing smaller batches because we're just a family of 3, and this isn't even too overwhelming. What I am going to do though is I'm going to get that sizzling, not a rolling boil, but I'm going to get that to reduce a little bit because right now it's a little runny. It's like a soup. I want it a little thicker. That's what I'm going for. Something that'll kind of coat the spoon as I toss it. So,
Hey, Ali, can I just ask a really stupid question here?
sure.
Does a curry have to have curry powder in it?
That's a fascinating question. I think curry is usually meant to just indicate what the dish is more than the element in there. Curry powder is really a blend of spices. Curries don't need curry powder, but they need to have some kind
Some
of
of the-
spice that maybe composes a curry powder. Look,
Okay.
it's just like when I was making the chicken tikka. It's a pre-made rub. You know what I
Right.
mean? You get a curry powder, you're like, oh, boom, here it is, all
Okay.
mixed up. It's something convenient. But what defines a curry? It's so funny. It's like when I think about this kind of way of thinking. To me, it's like when I ask people, you know what they call Chinese food in China? Food.
Food, right.
It's just an element to create something hopefully tasty and delicious that you love.
I feel like this applies to mole a little bit as well, right? Like it's sort of
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, basically, I think that's actually an amazing example because you're talking about something that's massively varied.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, as that heats up, it's good stuff. So basically, I gotta tell you, this is why it's a hack. You're kind of done with the heavy lifting.
Really?
All you're doing is just transforming this soup into a curry. Now, I've been playing around with this because, to me, it's not the hardest thing in the world to like grab a can of crushed tomatoes and put that in there and blitz it or whatever. I was just like, you know what? What a cool, fun way to kind of play around with this.
Yeah.
What I have found too is like what degree you want to play with it. So I was saying chicken tikka masala is a gateway curry, right?
Right.
You're adding tomato, you're adding cream to kind of like, it mixes well. It does mix well. It does make something tasty, but it's kind of a gateway curry. It's a little soft. We're pulling our punches. Round 2, you're pulling your punches a little bit, hoping it'll go 6-7, right? So the question becomes, how hardcore do you want to get with it? The first time I made this batch, I was like, I had a lot of this stuff in here, a lot of seasoning.
Okay.
And when I think about if I'm getting chicken tikka masala, I'm going to a Pakistani restaurant where I know they'll have lots of interesting meat dishes, and their tandoor is going to be intense, to say the least. Some people could, it's one of those things where Indian food can be spicy, but the spices don't just mean spicy. They mean it can be intensely aromatic. So that's what I go for.
Okay.
Also, I used a little bit of butter in there. Another direction you could go, and this is the way of the Indian restaurant, is when this reduces a bit, I'm going to add some half and half because, that's what we just happen to have in here. A lot of recipes will tell you to use heavy cream. You could also use yogurt. I like the cream because it just is more indulgent and luxe. Yeah. I'm using half and half. If you add heavy cream and butter, you're gonna have something lush. You know what I mean? Like,
so right now this is a curry, and then when you add the half and half here in a bit, it will become masala.
Yeah, I mean, I would not. So masala doesn't refer so much to what a dish is. That's just the name of chicken tikka masala. Masala is like, and my Hindi is not what it used to be because it never was. But masala just refers to a mix.
Okay.
Masala is a mix. Like garam masala is like basically an official name for curry powder. Okay. So masala is just like all kinds of things incorporated. So
okay.
It's kind of more. It gets really interesting because people start to get ornery and go, "This is what it is."
Yeah.
Right.
Chili doesn't have beans. Get out of here. I don't care.
Right.
There's no absolutes in food.
That's kind of my thing. So this is just starting to heat up. I tell you, I swear, when I'm making this sauce and I constantly taste it, I feel like I've just been, you go to that Indian lunch buffet, there's always a little bit of regret. Like, why'd I do that? This is not lunch.
No.
This was, $15, $14.95.
And buffets on the whole are not food.
We've talked about that.
It's not the ideal. It's the gateway. It's the gateway. So that's how I kind of look at the tikka masala. But what is cool is it's such an easy pleaser. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, hey, you want to try some nachos? Not exactly mole.
It is. I mean, yeah, if you want to take like just a very American eater and give them some what do you call it? International food. I mean, tikka masala is it hits the mark.
Yeah, and I'll tell you too. If you decide to, I'm just setting a timer to keep reminding myself. It's starting to heat up. That heat also makes that spice come alive,
Yeah.
some of the heat too. And just to keep in mind, that was cayenne pepper, garam masala, which is really just a type of curry powder, a blend of stuff, cumin, and turmeric. Those spice blends transform this into something you would order, at the Indian restaurant, straight up. That's all it was. That's straight up all it was.
So, how do we integrate the chicken into this dish? Are you gonna?
That's the best part. I mean, literally, chicken tikka masala is you take the tikka's already cooked, and you just chuck it in there. I made a batch last night. The chicken tikka was in the fridge, and I just let it heat up
Inside of the sauce.
Yeah, I've seen some recipes where they tell you intentionally, don't worry about the chicken being cooked all the way through because it will finish in the sauce.
Oh, interesting.
I have an Instant Pot version that's totally great where you cook the chicken in the Instant Pot, you pull it out, you add the tomato and the spices, you blitz it with the immersion blender, right? Then you add the butter and cream and it cooks down. And then you cut up the chicken and put it in. Especially when you're at the supermarket and you're like, I got some chicken breast and it's looked like it came off an ostrich. I guarantee you that chicken's going to be a little rare in the middle. That's okay. In fact, that's good because it's just going to finish cooking in the sauce. It's just like I said about chicken tikka. It's all about that bullseye, right? It's all about the bullseye. So I've actually made really great chicken tikka masalas because you didn't have to worry about chicken that was basically cooked to death and was rubbery.
Right.
So that's
what's the ratio? What's the ratio now with this? Are you going 1-to-1 with cream to sauce, or
you know what? Just like the marinade I did for the chicken tikka, I'm gonna just taste it. The cream overwhelms. So when I'm gonna use half and half. I'm gonna add this is a double batch for me. I'll probably use a 1/4 cup of half and half. Right,
Okay.
4 tablespoons. I think. You can just add the cream, add the butter, and see how it goes. See, this is the thing, and because it's tomato soup, and I found this was true when I would make the dish in the Instant Pot. Just crushed tomato, blended with spices, tastes good. You don't have to have the cream, but if you go for it, you will create that gateway experience. So for me, I'm like, well, let me pull back a little bit. Because I want it to be like the Pakistani joint where it's like, oh yeah, this stuff packs a punch. I don't want to pull my punches in round 2. I'm looking to knock this thing out. I'm looking for a KO. So this has been going for a bit. And it's so funny because it gets warm, those spices. I'm tasting for the spice. And, you're going for what you want. You know what I mean? Does this taste like a curry? Do I want it to be creamier? And then you can play around. There is some dairy in here, which is great. What I'm going to do now, and I should have grabbed it sooner, I'm off and I'm back on. We're going to add some half and half with my 1/4 cupper. That's the 3rd cup. It's all good. I'm just going to eyeball it a little bit. But, this was 2 cups of tomato soup. I'm adding approximately 4 tablespoons of half and half. I'm just going to ditch that there. You can tell.
Oh, let's see that. Ooh.
Yeah, it's just, the color's lightening a bit.
Yeah.
And it's starting to appear closer to what a chicken tikka masala is. It's still pretty thin.
Yeah, do you need to cook this now, or do you that's done, or do you have to reduce?
It's literally your call. I'll tell you right now, because I don't have a ton of meat in here. I'm gonna reduce it a little bit. I also have more chicken that I need to marinate anyway, so I'm just gonna let this go, get it back up to a bubble, and get it where it's not really leaving the spoon too fast. Also, you got to remember too, I found when stuff cools down, it thickens up as well. You know what I mean? So there's that element as well. But I mean, basically, I've got a simmer sauce right there. I could stop right now. I could put it in a little plastic container and then just use it whenever I want. Refrigerate it because it's the dairy. ideally you probably wouldn't want to keep that around more than 3 to 5 days. I'm actually, you know what, we can probably go off the box.
Yeah.
The box in here. Oh, this thing says use within 7 to 10. So the preservatives are our friends here.
Yeah.
So 7 to 10 days in the fridge. I mean, I did add some half and half, which is going to change it up.
So
And
right now, I mean, you're done. You have
check this out.
masala.
Yeah, man, that's it.
Wow.
That's all it is. And you can tell. I mean, see, once you add that cream, you get that orange.
Get that nice color.
Yeah,
beautiful color.
That's all it is, y'all. Freaking tomato soup. The spices bring it up to where it needs to be.
All right.
Yeah, it's pretty. The way it is right now, I wouldn't add spice. I would just reduce volume.
What's your favorite way to serve this? The chicken goes inside the sauce and then you pour everything over rice?
It's very hard for me not to have a curry without rice. However, naan works too. I mean, dude, this is the taco of Indian food. It's whatever you want,
Ollie, what kind of rice are you having? White rice, brown rice? Are you doing the rice with like kind of the yellow crusty thing going on? Like what's going on?
So, I mean, if you're talking about the biryani, which would be traditionally in India, first of all, you have to talk about the varietal, which will be basmati rice because that's what's local native. It's a longer grain rice. It comes out more al dente. The grains are more individual, in the mouth feel. Jasmine rice, for example, sticky. When you get into a rice in Korea, it's more sticky or whatever. So this is more like al dente, more almost orzo would probably be the ultimate al dente kind of grain or whatever. So
basmati's good. I like basmati.
It is. So, you'd have basmati rice. Palau means rice that and you're actually testing here. Palau will mean a rice that has a little bit of like aromatic in there, maybe some cooked onions, maybe a little butter. It's not just plain rice. It's not just plain. Biryani is a rice casserole. It's like the paella of Indian, South Asian cooking. So those are the rices or whatever. I will tell you this, and this is part of my 2022. I've been told to reduce the carbs or whatever. So yeah, I probably would just to like not sweat the technique. I'd probably have cauliflower rice with mine, so I wouldn't have to worry about, because this sauce is so good.
Yeah.
This is the thing. The sauce? It's just like any other like cream sauce. You know what I mean? You just want to mop it up.
Well, that was amazing. I can't believe how simple that was.
It didn't take much, man. And I think the first gateway to it was, you can see it's sizzling up right there. It's just bubbling. I'm just going to let it stay on the heat, but then I'll probably just let it cool. And then you can add the chicken tikka, and that's it.
And so in theory, you're going to take the chicken off of the skewers and just put it right into that saucepan and just mix it around a bit, and you're done.
Yeah, I mean, because this chicken's, it's cold. You know what I mean? I'll probably let it simmer in there. Last night when I did this out the fridge, I let it simmer in the sauce covered for like 10 minutes to make sure it was like thoroughly hot. Because that liquid's hot. It's been hot for a while. Obviously, you want that chicken to get warm. But I mean, this is how the restaurants do it. They cook the chicken tikka and then they combine it together. The hotter the tikka is, the less time it has to sit in the sauce. But you've got the wiggle room here.
Wow,
that's amazing, Ali. Yeah. I can't wait to make this dish.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you too, because this is just thickening up. I'll do it right now. I'll do it right now. Here. I mean, this is basically how freaking obvious it really is. This is hot. And this could sit too. So, it's like,
okay.
It was already kind of thick to begin with.
Right.
And what's kind of cool is you see it at the end, at the edges of the pot, it starts to thicken up a little bit. So we're good. I made this much sauce for a lot of chicken, really. I'm just gonna dump all that in here.
Right.
Oh, dudes, yeah, this is
That
fun.
looks so fun.
Yeah, this is pretty fun. I mean, this is it, man. I mean, look, did someone call takeout? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's it.
And that didn't cost $50.
Yeah, and this is a boatload of chicken.
Yeah.
Compared to like what you're gonna get
Compared
at the
to restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, it's so funny. Like even for me, because I can count on my fingers and toes the amount of times I made this dish. Because this is not something that like I kind of grew up making or whatever.
Okay.
But like, yo, that did someone call this in?
Yeah.
You know, like yeah, and straight up, it's freaking this. You know, it's that's pretty much all it is.
To make this restaurant style, you got to throw in some huge chunks of potato and onion, right?
Yeah, remember that whole thing about carbs? But yes.
Hey, by the way, before we go, who told you have to cut out carbs? Your wife or a doctor?
The doctor.
Okay.
Oh, I've got high A1C. I'm technically pre-diabetic.
Oh, wow. You look good, Ali. I mean, whatever you're doing is working.
Great.
Yeah. Now, basically, I've turned my healthy into healthier, and I haven't been drinking. And the big thing, if your A1C is high and you're pre-diabetic, make half your plates vegetables.
Yeah.
Which, is easier said than done, but I will tell you what has been realistic for me is like, I went from like, I'll have my Ezekiel bread sandwich as my healthy lunch. Now it's salad. And the funny thing is when you're like, I was already not eating recklessly, you know what I mean? Despite what you would think. But I have just found, and it's only been, this would be my 4th weekend of it, but like, it is amazing what a little reset can do. It's, just doing it one day at a time. It's good. Yeah, I mean, all the pants are loose again, and I'm probably like, oh, that suit I bought in January 2020 is probably going to be Yeah, things are baggy. It's a nice feeling.
I'll tell you what, if you want to lose weight or do anything, I think cutting in half is an amazingly simple way to do stuff. If I've ever
what's amazing? I will tell you this.
Cutting
way back in the day, 20 years ago, me and Crosby went to Zanku Chicken. I remember, you like Zanku Chicken? I like Zanku Chicken. I'm like, oh, dude, let's go. I had been going all the time. I used to go to Zanku Chicken store like 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
I remember we got shawarma, and he was like, do you want to just share this? And I was like, okay.
Oh.
And the funny thing is I wasn't walking out with extra. Because I just ate what I could eat in one sitting. And then you walk away, and you stop eating.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, and like definitely like if you're just having like a rough day, like Zanku's great to eat the entire thing because it is too much. Yeah, it's too much. You're just like, I'm going for it. Like I'm having the whole plate.
I think too, what's interesting when you're making food like this, a lot of these restaurants survive on like, well, people don't come here a lot. We need to give them a reason. So let's give them value. Let's make sure they're well fed and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And a dish like this is freaking loaded and rich. You can make this at home and shave. I shaved a lot of calories off this, guys. I used freaking a quarter tablespoon of half and half is like going out to Starbucks. You know what I mean? That's like a Starbucks order. And then, granted, there is some dairy in here, but you can always just buy tomatoes and use you can use a tomato soup that doesn't have cream in it as well, and just add the cream as you go. This has a tablespoon of butter. I'm selling the health part of it. I used a tablespoon of butter and 4 tablespoons of half and half for a rich curry. That's not bad. I mean, those things can add up,
Well, thanks for this new recipe. I'm making this at home. I'm doing it.
Dude, it's I mean, I said this when we first did the Instant Pot butter chicken. I was like, we're not getting takeout anymore.
Right.
Which is also loaded with landmines as well. So yeah, man, it's pretty, and I would say to push the old Tikka, I love it, man. It's so, that's almost like, this is great, but this is to create that naughty restaurant. Let's get Deborah from accounting to eat at the Indian restaurant, which is cool. And everyone loves this stuff. Like, let's be honest, everyone loves this stuff.
Well, cool.
Awesome, Ali. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Hey, could we throw beef skewers in this? Is that a whole different? I just thought of that.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Why not?
typically with India, lamb becomes the red
Lamb.
meat of choice across the country, but
Lamb.
certainly people eat beef and pork. I find that, and again, this is kind of how I was saying, like, oh, but people like to overcook meat. I hate overcooked beef. It sucks.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I hear you.
But
thought I would
yeah,
throw it out there. I think
yeah,
I think
lamb,
lamb's the
goat.
move.
I mean, I would almost say like Steve, who's always like, oh, I love pheasant heart, potted in confit. How he's always like trying to eat a medieval wild
Bald
game
eagle.
hunt. This is a great opportunity if you're feeling red meat to try lamb, to try goat, because those gamier meats are gonna actually stand out. I almost think beef is kind of a boring red meat.
Pedestrian.
In Indian food. Like I would say, I know you like lamb, Crosby. I'd lamb
I love
all day,
lamb.
goat all day. Even like pork, wild boar. I would kind of get off the reservation,
Cool.
and see what else is out there. But yeah, it's so funny. I'm like, dude, I just made freaking tikka masala, and you saw it. It's a freaking joke. It's not hard.
Well, nice, Ali. Thank you so much for another killer episode. Great part 2 of the chicken tikka experience. You've been knocking it out of the park, Ali. Thank you so much for your effort today. And
no worries.
You've made Steve and I very, very hungry.
I'm starving.
We're gonna go.
Greer, what do we drink? We never even asked it the first time. What would you drink with Chickadee masala? Very creamy.
So I still love ciders with Indian food.
Ooh.
And
that's bomb.
And champagne. Champagne and Indian food, because of the heat, really go well together. You can compromise with the cider. You can do a Normandy cider that already has a little bit of bubbles to it.
Okay.
It's not champagne bubbles, but it's got a little bit of bubbles to it.
Champagne over cava or prosecco or
yeah. I mean, if you want to go a little less expensive, nothing wrong with cava.
No, but that to me is an excuse, because I don't actually enjoy champagne that much on its own.
Yeah.
Maybe like a lot of these wines. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Is there a red wine that would work with this?
No, I mean, I would stay away from red wines.
Wow, Greer,
if
Greer says no, it's like a red light with like a state trooper in a speed trap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's just too many whites and sparkling and ciders to why even mess with red wine?
No, I feel you. I love that cider thing. Would be good.
Cool.
Awesome.
Or just go for a trendy seltzer, right?
Hey man, it's
no.
I had a kombucha last night. And I felt like I was having.
We got 2 no's from Steve. Nice.
Yeah. No.
All right, gents. Well, thank you, Ali, for your amazing Eat This for today, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. That was great.